Is this the way to Cap Murillo? Every game week I'm chasing a hero, dreaming dreams of Cap Murillo and sweet returns that wait for me. Show me the way to Cap Murillo, well I've been weeping like a fellow, crying over Cap Murillo and 16 points waiting there for me. Yes, with 72 points for the week and another 20% rise up the rankings, we're starting to see a little bit of progress. Every move made this week, well, the one, it was to bring in Murillo for the stricken Saliba for Monday Night Football, was my third reasonable captain of the week. In fact, about 83% of my points came from the captains. The rest of the team didn't do very much at all. Let's have a look and see how everybody else got on with the rest of the players and the leaderboards. Let's take a look. Let's get into it. Yes, hello everybody, welcome to midweek matchups from the Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show. This is episode 6. Is this the way? Well, it certainly could be. Cap Murillo did me the world of good this week. I'm sure a few other people brought in some Forest players for Saliba on Monday. Some even brought in Gvardiol, I know, for Sunday, and he did well as well. So after a 2 weeks trip away, a little bit of sunshine, we're back into Cloud Fantasy Football after the international break. We're going to have a look through my team, moves made, points scored, the leaderboards. We'll go through the match centres to see who scored the points. And then we're going to have a quick look at overall points and bonus points. And then later in the week, it's Friday Night Live this week. It's Nottingham Forest back on the menu. They're visiting Leicester. So we'll be back on Friday with a full game week preview as well. In the meantime, let's see how we got on. 72 points for the week then, of which a whopping 5/6 were scored by the three captains. In goal we had Muric, a couple of save points for 4 points. In the back, Christian Romero, who had passes and tackle tiers. He was captain on Saturday for 12. Robinson, 4 points. Murillo, who was brought in Monday for captaincy. He got 16 points, shot on target and a clean sheet for Nottingham Forest. Not much across the middle. Palmer 2, Saka didn't play. Dibbling 3, McNeil 6. He got an assist. 25 chances created for the season now. Dwight McNeil second to only Saka of midfielders. Haaland third blank in a row for 2 points on Sunday. Mo Salah was captain with 22. He had goal and assist, probably some bonus as well. And then Buemo, who blanked for Brentford at Manchester United on Saturday. And then you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, Saliba, he was transferred out. It was a late decision. Thanks for the prompt, Tim Barry. It was a 4-for-1, maybe 5 or 6 with captaincy. I can't remember now with Murillo. But it was worth a go. He paid for himself last night. And the reason I went for Murillo instead of anybody else, because he was cheap and it could lead to further changes elsewhere in the team. You notice there's quite a few cheapies in there now. Robinson, Murillo, Dibbling and McNeil, all reasonably cheap. Rich is probably the cheapest playing keeper. I think he'll be staying now. Van Heck was back, so he might get back in the side for me. We need to have a look and see where we go. It might be that Saliba doesn't come back for a while. He wasn't great for Arsenal. They haven't been keeping clean sheets even in the easier matches. So we'll see how that pans out later in the week. Nothing to worry about for Saliba. He misses the game on Sunday and then they've got Newcastle a week after. So we can have a look at that even if it's for the Chelsea game the week after that, which is the last kick-off of the game week, I think. Unless there's a Monday game that week. Let's have a look and see where that leaves us in the table. So leaderboards all together. So the Bailey brothers, I think they're flipped now. Duncan on the top with 815. Scott 801. Then we've got Ben Parkin 788. Barry Morrison 784. Darren Malloy 778. Alex Mitchell 777. The previously mentioned Tim Barry with the banana splits at 772 alongside Kevin Wood. Melvin Paul in 9th at 771. And then John Logan, Spartans on Twitter. He's rounding out the top 10 with 769. Have a look at my ranking, which is 127th. There we go. So for the game week, we had 72. See what the best scores were. Take that away. Put that on the game week. So 4 scores of 100 plus. Ben Lee, shout out to Ben. He's on the Dream Team Tonic, going well in the Ultimate League as well. 108, well done, Ben. Kevin Wood, who moved up to 7th, he had 104 for the week. Shane Legg and Kay Dickinson, both with 100. Well done to you. Let's have a look at the match centres and see where the points came from then. Click on to game week 8. So we'll start with Spurs 4, West Ham 1. And in the bonuses we had tackles for Udogi and Kulusevski tier 1, Romero tier 2 and Basuma tier 3. In the passes, Van der Ven tier 1 and Romero tier 2. In the shots, Porro, Basuma, Kulusevski, Johnson and Werner all tier 1 and Son tier 2. We had goals from Kulusevski, Basuma, Son and the own goal by Areola. A bit of a pantomime about that one on FPL over the weekend, but in Cloud, clear as her own goal. And assists for Maddison, Udogi and Sarr. Only 2 saves for Vicario, so no bonus. For West Ham, in the tackles, quite a few here. So Todibo, tier 1. Tier 2 for Kilman and Bowen. Tier 3 for Emerson, Wan-Bissaka and Rodriguez. Nobody in the passes at all. Most passes there, 39 for Wan-Bissaka. Areola with 4 saves, but he did get the own goal, so he rounded out his day with 0. Shot tiers for Kudos, who scored the goal and got himself sent off, so he rounded out with 8. And the goal looks like it was unassisted. Fulham 1, Aston Villa 3. So in the tiers for Fulham, tackles we had Iwobi tier 1 and Robinson tier 3. Bassi with the only passing tier, tier 1 with 62. Leno, who got an assist and tier 2 saves, for 6 points. Pereira had a shot on target, which was the save penalty, so it was a penalty miss. He ended up with only 1. And Jimenez, who scored, been going well, Jimenez. 2 shots on target for 9 in total. And Diop, who got an own goal off the bench, he ended up with a -1. 1 shot on target, but the own goal counted against him, so -1. For Aston Villa, nobody in the tackles, only 1 player in the passing, which was Tielemans. Martinez with tier 1 saves plus a penalty save for 7 points altogether. Ramsey and Rodgers with 1 shot on target each. And Watkins with 2. Goals for Rodgers and Watkins. Assists for Tielemans and Ramsey and Dean. And as previously mentioned, Diop with the own goal. Manchester United 2, Brentford 1. So for Manchester United, in the tackles, Martinez and Garnacho and De Ligt, tier 1. Tier 2 for Bruno Fernandes, tier 3 for Casemiro. 1 player in the passing, which was Evans, bare minimum 55 for tier 1. No save points for Onana. Shots on target for Martinez, Dalot, Casemiro and Højlund, tier 1. Fernandes, tier 2. And Garnacho, tier 3 with 5 shots on target. Top scorer with 11. Goals for Garnacho and Højlund. Assists for Fernandes and Rashford. For Brentford, Norgard with tier 1 tackles. Pinnock with tier 2. In the passes, Pinnock with tier 1. And Collins with tier 2. Flecken 9 saves. Tier 3 again, so a 4-pointer. Shots for Pinnock, who scored, and for Norgard, the assist was Damsgaard. So Pinnock, for those that went that way when Van Heck was mooted to be out for a while, they've got a 12-pointer. Quite a few will have had that captained, I imagine, on Saturday if they had him in the side. 4-24. Well done if you did. Newcastle 0, Brighton 1. So for Newcastle, tackles Tier 1 Joel Linton, Tier 2 for Tonali, Tier 3 for Hall, Shah and Bruno Grimares. In the passes, three players all with Tier 2. 65, 66 and 69 was Byrne, Share and Hall in respective order. Pope with Tier 2 saves. Gordon Tier 2 shots and Isak Tier 4. Tier 4. 4 shots for Tier 3. So for Brighton, tackles for Ayari, Tier 1, and Rutter, Tier 3. Nobody in the passing at all, which is a bit of a surprise. I didn't see highlights of this. I wonder what happened there. All of possession with Newcastle. Was that after Brighton took the lead, maybe? Verbruggen, Tier 3 saves. Welbeck, Tier 2 shots. He scored. He's been going well. Danny Welbeck. Assisted by Rutter, who, once he's gone aside, has been either assisting or scoring on a regular basis. So he got the assist. And then the shots on target off the bench for Ensiko, Mitoma and Weaver. And Southampton 2, Leicester 3. So Southampton were 2 up at half time. Leicester came back to win in the 8th minute of added on time. Tackles for Southampton, Segara, Fernandez and Downs, plus Dibbling with Tier 1. Nobody in the passing. And for shots, Downs and Dibbling Tier 1. Archer Tier 2 who scored, and Rebo Tier 3 who scored. And the assists were just 1 for Walker-Peters. And we had tackles off the bench for Sulemena and Taylor. Both came on in the 78th minute, 3 tackles each. For Leicester, in the tackles we had Akoli and Justin with Tier 1. Tier 2 for Christensen, Face and Ndidi. And Tier 3 for Buenotti. Passes for Face and Akoli, both in Tier 1. Hermanson with Tier 3 saves. And then the shots, Buenotti and Vardy, who scored the goals, Tier 1 each. Ayew off the bench, who scored Tier 1. And Fatawa off the bench, who assisted Tier 1. And the other assist, also off the bench, was for Harry Winks. Ipswich 0, Everton 2. So Ipswich, in the tackles we had Morsey Tier 1 and Clark Tier 2. In the passes, Woofenden Tier 1, Burgess and Morsey both with Tier 2, and Muric with 6 A's for Tier 3. Shots off the bench for Chaplin and Taylor. For Everton, in the tackles, Mikalenko with Tier 1, Young with Tier 2, nobody in the passing. Pickford only made 2 saves, so no bonus there. In the shots, Keane Tier 1, Young Tier 1, McNeil Tier 1, and Dye Tier 2 and Calvert-Lewin Tier 3. And the goal scorers there were Keane and Dye, assists by McNeil. The evening game, Aston Villa against Arsenal. I saw this one while we were away on a very fuzzy television. Arsenal seemed to come unstuck with the sending off. My 2 penneth on that, I thought it was a sending off in real time. But once it's given us a yellow, I'm not quite sure there's enough in it to have it upgraded by the ref to a red. But I think the right decision was made in the end, but probably came about the wrong way. But as I say, Arsenal stuttered after that. Didn't really get going at all. You can see they've got no shots on target. We'll come to that in a minute. So for Bournemouth, in the tackles, Cook tier 1 and Senese tier 2. Nobody in the passes. For shots, Semenyo and Tavernier tier 1. Then off the bench, Christie and Kluivert tier 1. Christie scored a goal, Kluivert scored a penalty and also assisted Christie's goal. For Arsenal, in the tackles we had Calafiori and Rice with tier 1, Moreno with tier 2. In the passes, only Partey made it, another one on 55, just enough for a tier 1. And then the only shot on target was Martinelli off the bench, came on the 64th minute, had that only shot on target. On to Sunday's games. Wolves 1, Manchester City 2. So for Wolves, in the tackles we had Gomez, tier 1, Aït-Nouri and another Gomez, tier, I think that's João Gomez in midfield. Tutti Gomez, I think, is in defence. So that's tier 2 for Aït-Nouri and João Gomez. Nobody in the pass at all. Most passes there, 19 from Dawson. Saves, Sarr was back in goal. It's mooted that Johnston was injured, I think, but I think it's a long-standing dislike from the Wolves fans because he used to play for the Baggies up the road at West Bromwich, so maybe Sarr's going to get back in the side permanently. From what I understand, I didn't see the game. It was Sarr, those 5 saves, some of them were very good to keep Wolves in the game. Semedo, he's assisted Strand Larsen. They both had a shot on target, and Semedo, his XG for his missed chance, which was somewhere around the 6-yard line, was about 0.3. So really should have put that away. It was saved by Edison, whose only save that he made. So for Manchester City in the tackles, Doku and Savinho, who were playing on the wings. Foden was off the bench. They got a tier 1 each. In the passes, we had Kovacic 64 and Gundogan 63 for tier 1. And then the sort of back 3 as it was, Gvardiol, Diaz and Stones all in tier 3. For the shots, Gvardiol, Diaz, Stones all with a shot each. Stones and Gvardiol with the goals. Silva, Gundogan and Savinho had a shot each, and Grealish off the bench did, and Foden off the bench, he got the assist. Doku also assisted Gvardiol's goal. Then on to the Super Sunday game, Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. Didn't see this either. We were actually on the way back to the airport. Robertson and Jones in the tackles tier 1, Trent in the tackles tier 2. Nobody in the passing at all. The most was Van Dijk, who missed out with 54. In the shots, Szoboszlai and Mo Salah with tier 1, Jones with tier 2, and Diaz off the bench with the tier 1. It's also got some tackles off the bench as well there that I didn't mention before. Gomez came on in the 81st minute, 3 tackles. Nunes, who came on in the 30th minute, also 3 tackles. Goals for Salah, the penalty, and Jones, and that was beautifully assisted. I did see the highlights of that later on. A great assist from Salah into Jones. Nice, neat finish past Sanchez to give Liverpool the win. For Chelsea, Gusto with tackles, tier 1. Colwill with tier 2 passes. Sanchez with tier 1 saves. And their shots were from Madueke and Jackson, who scored the goal, which was assisted by Caicedo. Then Monday night football, Nottingham Forest 1, Crystal Palace 0. Nobody in the tackles for Forest. Dominguez was the only one in the passes. He just made it with 56. Sells with 7 saves. Some of those were very good. From Eze, definitely, and I think it was Schlupp off the bench. So he had a tier 3, 12-pointer. Shots for Murillo, tier 1, Dominguez, tier 1, Anderson tier 2 had a good game. Wood scored again. Quite a few people had Wood in the side, 9 for 18 as a captain. He had 2 shots on target. For Crystal Palace, yet another defeat. They're doing badly this season. Looks like the loss for Lise and maybe Anderson to a certain extent has done them no favours at all. And Ketia wasn't great, and it didn't look like Mateta did much when he came on from it either. So in the tackles we had Guehi, Hughes and Kamada, both with all 3 with tier 1. Then Mitchell and Munoz with tier 2. The only person in the passes was Guehi with tier 1. Henderson, he had 5 saves, but it was his error that led to the goal. Really bad goalkeeping. Kamada, tier 1 shots, and Eze and Nketiah both with tier 2. Then off the bench we had Mateta and Schlupp with a tier 1. So a quick look at some points. We'll go through this a bit more detail on Friday Night Live this week, I think. I'll see if we can get some stats up on the planner. But highest point scorer, Erling Haaland now with 83, Cole Palmer 73, Mo Salah 71. Then a bit of a gap to Jackson, Saka, Watkins, Romero, Van Dijk, Konate, and Mbeumo, Welbeck, Kovacic, Gabriel, Trent, Diaz, Onana, Gvardiol, Chris Wood, all above 50. And then 19th and 20th on the list is Havertz and McNeil, just under 50 each. And we'll have a quick look at the bonus points. Top of the shop there is Christian Romero, 25 altogether, passes, tackles and shots bonus. Second in line is 2 from Man City, Ruben Dias and Kovacic. And Bednarek is next with 21, mainly in passes with the odd tackle. Flecken, as we've said quite often on this show, he's saves and more saves. He's got 19 altogether. So that's only 5 short of the maximum he could have had. And then Gvardiol, he's in with passes and the odd tackle and shots. 4.5. Few people could have gone there from Saliba on Sunday. Bruno G still hanging around there with 18. Haaland with 18. Pinnock, bit of a mix there. He's got 4, 7 and 6 for a 17 total. Van Heck came on for Brighton. Wonder if we're back in the side full time from next week maybe. He's still there, 16. It's not bad considering he's missed some games. Van Dijk at 16. A few there on 15. So Mo Salah, all shots, no surprise. Saliba, so 15. And Didi and Nick Pope, another one with quite a few saves. Partey and Lewis Dunk. Dunks are all passes. And Partey, he's got a mixture of them all. And then rounding out 18, 19 and 20 on the list at 14. We have Bruno Fernandes and João Gomes and Manuel Akanji. So we'll be back on Friday, 6:45 with Friday Night Live. Looking forward to their upcoming game week. If you like what you've seen so far, please give the video a like. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, please do. In the meantime, enjoy the European football and we'll see you Friday. Bye for now.